My name is Amol Nirgudkar. I'm the CEO of Patient Prism, and we are here live at the Patient Prism Studios at the 9th Annual Dykema DSO Definitive Conference. Maybe I got the definitive and the DSO mixed up. Definitive DSO?
You got it really close.
I got it very close. I'm here with my great friend, Kevin Cumbus, the founder and the president of TUSK Partners. And Kevin and I have known each other for a very long time. I've admired the work he's done in the M&A space, especially in the sell side. There's no better person today to have on your side as you're thinking about taking your DSO, your group practice, or your single practice to market, because he truly embodies what it means to serve his customers. And the passion with which he has built his business is admirable. I've learned a lot from him over the years. So Kevin, welcome to the studios.
Amol, it's really good to be here. It's really good to see you.
It is good to see you.
It's good to be back at conferences and seeing people again.
Oh my God, I love it so much, as you can tell.
Usually, sure.
You did as a precursor to this conference, you did a workshop. It was sold out, 100 people or more. What did you guys talk about? I mean, you talked about M&A, but what did you guys talk about?
Yeah, let me start with the attendance first. So we were purposeful in who we wanted in the room. We love the private equity-backed buyers. They're great. We have to have them. In order to have a transaction, you have to have both a seller and a buyer, so I need them in my life.
Right.
But we were really purposeful in who we had in that room. We wanted doctor-founded, debt-funded groups that were pre-private equity. So we had 100 attendees. We had 46 companies represented across 26 states, representing an affiliated practice network of 411 practices.
Wow.
So what we really wanted to do here was help educate them about what the opportunities look like. You know, I think all too often, folks feel really good. Like you're building a business. Imagine you're building a business, you got 5 locations, you get $1 million of EBITDA, you're toiling away, it's really, really hard, and an unsolicited offer comes to you, and you go, oh my gosh, somebody likes me, somebody wants to pay me a lot of money for our business, this feels really, really good. And all too often, people take the offer, and I get it. Like emotionally, there's a connection there. It just feels great. The reality is, there's over 100 private equity-backed groups today, and many of them would likely want to affiliate with you, depending on where you're located, what your payer mix looks like, which specialty you're in. So I view us right now in the business of education and raising the bar of the education. So everyone is well aware of those 100 DSOs. They've got 100 different private equity-backed groups, 100 different private equity backers, 100 different equity opportunities. They all have a different business model, different culture, leadership team. You know, you look at a business like Heartland, man, to work with them, you get the full force of their entire back office in Effingham, along with the wisdom and knowledge that they've gained over the years. It's as good as it gets. And if you want to change and you want help and you want guidance, you go to Heartland, right? Then on the other end of that spectrum is a company like Independence DSO. And their whole business model is, we're not going to change a thing. We don't want to do any, Doc, whatever you want. Practice management software you're running, keep it. You like that lab, no problem. So between those 2 points of differentiation, there's 100 other points on the spectrum. And this is what is so amazing about the industry we're in today. So we wanted everyone to know what we know and try to raise the bar of education.
And here's the big point. I think not all money is created equal.
No.
And we've learned that in the private equity space quite a bit. If you've been in private equity at all, and as you navigate selling your practice or your group, you have to understand that $1 million is not $1 million. It may seem the same amount, but what it comes with, and that's why I think you have to have somebody that advises you, educates you on the sell side, because again, what he said, there's 100 different things that lie between a affiliation with a strategic group like Heartland versus an affiliation with a pure financial transaction. And there's the devil is in the details of what you need to know. And sometimes knowing what you need to know, you will end up picking an offer that may provide you less money short term, but eventually end up in the right best interest, because you don't want to be penny wise, pound foolish. Happens to many people, because somebody dangles you $8 million. Like, wow, I want to take that right now and run.
For sure.
But who knows what the opportunity value of that is? Opportunity cost. What are you giving up in that process?
So what we It would surprise me if there is a group practice or a doctor-run group out there with $1 million or more of EBITDA that has not received an unsolicited offer.
Correct.
These BD guys at these private equity-backed DSOs
Right.
are really good.
Yeah.
They got a lot of money,
Yeah.
and they're on airplanes all the time.
Correct.
And they know the data, they know where the locations are. So sadly, for better or worse, let's say it that way, it is not unique to have an unsolicited offer in your hand
Correct.
today in
Correct.
our industry. We're in a rapidly consolidating industry. This is just the way this goes. But that letter of intent that you have, there's a lot to unpack there. Because let's say it's an $8 million deal, there's an allocation between $6 million cash, maybe $1 million of JV and $1 million of holdco equity. What the heck does that even mean?
What does that even mean?
What does that even mean, right? So what we do is build out the cash flows that are associated with the LOI so we can look at the total transaction value, the lifetime transaction value.
That is exactly what I mean, you said it obviously way more intelligently than I did, but that's it, right? Because not all $1 million, not all money is created equal. You might think you got 8 million, but then you lost out on the 5 later on.
That's right.
Because you didn't understand the deal dynamics, right?
There's an $8 million deal that we could structure that is really worth 6. And then there's another $8 million deal that you might get that could be over the life of the transaction worth 16.
Right, exactly right.
And that's how different it can be with an $8 million LOI in your hands.
Absolutely right. So tell me a little bit about, I mean, what worries you about the current economic conditions?
Yeah.
Inflation, recession, how is that going to affect multiples?
Okay.
Number one, debt financing.
Cost of financing, yeah.
Cost of financing.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that?
Great question. So I actually covered this in the opening remarks in the presentation.
Okay.
We talked about a couple of things that have happened over the life cycle of DSOs. When I started in 2007, there were, it was primarily doctor-to-doctor trades. Heartland was in the mix.
Right.
And they came in and they became more abundant and throughout more states, valuations went up, right? They were probably around 3 to 5 times at that point.
Right.
Well, Heartland was kind of the only person at the table, and markets are efficient, and other companies said, oh my gosh, Heartland is buying businesses at 5. We know at that time they're probably trading at 10 to 11 times.
Right.
They're enjoying the arbitrage. When there's that much value being created, other entrants will come.
Absolutely.
So they did.
Supply and demand. Yeah.
Supply and demand. Well, efficient markets.
Yeah.
So all these others come in, and then 2007, 2008, huge economic crisis.
Right.
So recession hits, and coming out of that, we looked back at dental spending, and it was flat, not down.
Right.
Okay, well, private equity is looking for really nice risk-adjusted returns, and they're surveying the landscape of opportunity, and they go, whoa. Dentistry was flat, not down during the Great Recession. We're in. Demand goes up. Multiples went up 2 turns.
Wow.
From 2007 to 2009.
Okay.
We
Nice.
have a client in Denver, Colorado, who's paying $70 an hour to a hygienist.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, let's think about efficient markets again for a second. If you know of your friend who's a hygienist is making $130,000 a year, and you're working as a sales clerk at CVS making $40,000 a year, all of a sudden going to hygiene school makes a heck of a lot of sense.
That's right.
Okay, so it's going to be about a 2 to 4 year trough, and then there will be more hygienists than we have ever seen, and we'll see some normalization there.
All right.
Okay, and then on the cost of capital side, yeah, cost of capital is going up, but for little deals, it's not that big of an impact. The market, I look at it in 2 sections. There's, let's say, deals under $5 million of EBITDA, effectively tuck-in transactions for big billion-dollar DSOs. We're not seeing any decline in
Correct.
multiples at all.
Correct.
Anything above $20 million of EBITDA, we're actually hearing of deals getting pulled, lenders walking away. We're talking about $60 million, $100 million deals. Those deals right now are in a little bit of peril. The reason is the private equity groups, this is their first investment.
Right.
They're looking at the risk and going, I don't know if I want this risk right now. And the
Correct.
lenders are saying the same thing. But for tuck-in deals, $1 million to $5 million of EBITDA, those are still getting done at really nice multiples.
So so the time is still good. I mean, I think
No, time is still good.
You're not seeing a lot of downward pressure on multiples.
But you are seeing pressure on EBITDA, right? So let's
Right,
say
that's
you got a
right,
$1 million EBITDA business today
Right,
that's
right.
trading at 8 times.
Yep, yep.
So it's an $8 million deal. If we see compression of EBITDA from, I don't know, $1 million to 800,000,
Yeah.
and we see a $200,000 delta times 8, that's $1.6 million of lost value.
Correct.
Right, so that's really where I think we're going to see the rubber meet the road, is will valuations come up enough to help people feel like they're getting a multiple on their 2021 EBITDA, or are they just going to say, to heck with it, we'll take the 8 on the 2022 EBITDA?
Interesting. But what can we do? What can TUSK do to help as you are
Yep.
creating the pro formas
Yep.
for 2022 and 2023? How can TUSK help the seller
Yeah, this is
in
great.
explaining the story?
Yeah. So, we value, you always hear valuation based off of trailing 12-month
Yep.
EBITDA.
Yep.
But the buyers don't get access to your historical EBITDA. What they're buying is your future EBITDA.
Right.
So the way to circumvent this matter is to work with our clients and help them execute on EBITDA additive strategic initiatives, inclusive of but not limited to
Right.
acquisition pipeline,
Right.
renegotiation of insurance rates, find additional specialists to come in to supplement services.
Right.
All of these things that can be done that people don't think to do
Right.
to try to buoy the declining EBITDA.
But how long do you need to see that new addition, right?
Great question. I need 1 quarter to sell a year.
That's unbelievable.
Different.
Yep.
All the buyers are different.
Yeah.
I've got an excellent team here. They are just the best. And while they're spending a lot of time talking with prospective clients, informing them about market dynamics, we are spending just as much or more time talking to the buyers because they shape shift all the time as well.
Right.
And we make it our job to know the CEO's daughter's name. That's important to us because we want to know what their culture is to see if there really is cultural alignment. I don't want my client to take the top offer, the top enterprise value. I want my client to pick the right partner.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
And any of you guys, they have a great program called a Deep Dive.
Yeah.
And whether you're in the market or not, whether you're trying to do a transaction this year or not, I think if I was in this business, I would go to Kevin and say, Kevin, let's do a deep dive, right? Understand what I know, understand what I don't know, and figure out what my options are. Because sometimes, unless you go deep, you have no idea that you have options.
True.
And that's one of the best things that I have recommended Kevin, some clients, and they have come out of this like, hey, I don't want to sell right now. But, well, guess what? We just realized we could raise $10 million to grow this part of the business. And Kevin helped them find that. So what's the best way, Kevin, to contact you? Website?
Sure.
Whatever that you email, whatever that might be.
Absolutely. So if you want to reach out, you can contact me on email at info@tusk-partners.com. That just goes directly to all of us, so someone will pick that up quickly. And then also the website is tusk-partners.com. This has been great, Amol. It's always a pleasure to see.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It is wonderful. I'm looking forward to having a drink with you. It's been a long while.
Yeah, it has been.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.